Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to head up the west coast for this review beyond Gothenburg, Göteborg, the beer haven, and we're going to go to a little town called Strömstad, which is quite close to the Norwegian border. It's supposed to be very pretty and it's quite a well-known fishing town from what I understand, but we know that it's also home to a really interesting brewery, and that's what we're going to look at today, of course. So for this review then we are going to have a look at another beer from Fermenterarna, beer review number 4 from these guys on the channel, if I remember correctly. And today we're going to have a look at the IPA. So, simply called IPA, it comes in at 6.7% ABV, and they released this one as part of the Tillfällig assortment or temporary stock in Systembolaget on the 3rd of November 2020. So, yeah, really curious to see how this one turns out. The very first beer that I had from Fermenterarna, I think, was an IPA, but the last couple of beers that I've had from them have been, you know, these kind of funky sour sort of things, and I think that's where the brewery really have kind of made their name over the last little while. And I can't remember what the very first beer I had from these guys was like, and that was the main reason that this one kind of caught my eye. I'm curious to go back and see how they do a more kind of purist approach to brewing, I guess you could say. And this beer, from what I gather, is supposed to be pretty good actually, so I'm very, very curious to see what it has in store for us. So yeah, definitely cool to visit Fermenterarna once again. For the first time in quite a wee while, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. It should be an interesting one, and I have to say I do like the artwork on this. Very, very simple, but you know, really pretty damn effective actually. Just a lovely looking hop flower. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Fermenterarna before, and we will no doubt add more to that list in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Fermenterarna then, on to my brewery notes. So Fermenterarna, as I've told you before, was founded by Niklas Aronsson and Anna Claesson, and the company was founded back in 2018. So these guys are still quite new on the scene, I have to say. They're just about 2 years old. But the brewery itself, as I mentioned earlier, can be found in Strömstad in Västra Götaland, very close to the Norwegian border, to the north of Gothenburg. And apparently the whole idea behind, you know, brewing beer kicked off with Niklas ordering a beer in a bar one day without really knowing what it was, and this beer turned out to be the Tropic Thunder from Dugges Brewery, which is one of the kind of iconic Swedish sour beers. I've not had that beer in a very long time, so maybe that's something that I need to bring back on the channel for a live stream or something like that. But on the other hand, Anna has had a long interest in things that ferment, and she runs the restaurant Kostas Trädgårdar, and she's basically fermented various kind of things such as sauerkraut in the past, and you know, experimented a lot with this. But the brewery, when they started that up, it started out as a very small 200-litre system, and they did this with a few tanks as well in late 2018, and they took a break to expand the company after their beers were received very well at different festivals. But these days they boast a new and larger facility with 2 500-litre brew kits and a total tank capacity of around 17,000 litres, and they were aiming to brew 50,000 litres over the course of 2019, but they do say they have equipment to brew around 250,000 litres of beer per year. According to Untappd, they've produced around 90 different beers as of November 2020, and like I said to you, they are experimenting a lot with kind of these big sweet kind of sour beers actually, and I've had some really interesting beers from them. Like I said, the last beer that we did was the Berry Licorice, but it seems to be mainly these kind of New England hazy IPAs that they do along with the different kind of big sweet kind of sours and stuff like this. But yeah, a very, very good brewery in my experience. Quite a young company, and it's quite cool to see them doing so well, having being only really being around for about 2 years. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Fermenterarna for the moment. Like I said to you, I would like to go up and visit Strömstad at some point. It'd be cool to get Anna and Nicholas on the channel for like a Meet the Brewery segment. That would be a really interesting thing to do. Once this whole COVID-19 thing buggers off, we can film a few more of those. It will be a lot easier, of course, but yeah, I think this one should be really interesting. This should be a really interesting beer, and it should be really interesting to visit these guys at the brewery at some stage as well. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Fermenterarna, the fermenters for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all those different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer itself then. So as you can see, this one is a 440ml can. I do have to say, the artwork on this for me, it's very simple, but I think just the, you know, the colours and the way it comes across, it's really nicely done. So I have to compliment them on their artwork actually. I'm not sure if it is Anna or Niklas that do that themselves, but there you can see on the back here, this is the kind of data part of the beer, the Fermenterarna IPA, and this is another one of the symbols for Fermenterarna. I actually can't remember if the first beer that I had from these guys was in a bottle or if it was canned, but the sour beers have been in cans, of course. But yeah, this one is a 6.7% New England Hazy IPA. It tells you on the back barley malt, wheat malt and oats, and I know that the hops in this one are Mosaic, Citra and Sabro, and something tells me this could well be the first beer that I've had brewed in Sweden that has Sabro. If not the first, one of the first. It's a hop that hasn't really taken hold here in Sweden so much yet, as far as I understand. I mean, Brewski may well have used it in some of their beers, but they don't tell you what hops are in the beers, of course. So yeah, Citra, Mosaic and Sabro. This should make for a really interesting one. Sabro, as we know, has that coconutty orange kind of thing to it. Mosaic is your lovely tangerine orange, you know. Citra we know very well as well. Mangoes and lots of little tropical fruit complexities. Gold kind of brass kind of top on the can of this one. Let's get it out and we will get on with this tasting. And I'm very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. I think this will be awesome. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. A 6.7% New England IPA. A nice beer to review on my day off. And then it's back to studying Swedish, of course. Yes, there we go. So yeah, as you can see with this one, and as you would expect from the New England IPA, this is poured a lovely kind of bright yellow colour. If we shine the light through this beer, yeah, lovely bright yellow. You can see there is a solid 2/3 finger of quite a frothy white head on this one. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, but you know, overall it does look pretty damn nice. If I put my fingers behind the beer, you can see that it is pretty damn hazy. But yeah, it certainly does look very nice actually. So yeah, nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is. I would definitely describe this one as being along the lines of very nice kind of rich mango juice colour. We always compare the New England IPAs to these different fruit juices because that's really just what they remind me of. Every reviewer, of course, though, has their different point of reference though. So yeah, let's have a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. I'm very curious about this beer. Oh, that smells... the first thing that comes out of my mind with this one, that's a very soft, oaty and bready smelling IPA, this one. I don't get too much of the wheat out of this. This is very soft, oaty and bready in my mind. And you can smell the Sabro. I think the Sabro is the thing that's really helping, giving it a lot of the softness actually. But it's a beautiful smelling beer, I have to say. So thumbs up to Fermenterarna for this. The aroma is very nice. Yeah. So, like I said to you, straight away with this one you get that lovely kind of smooth white bready quality out of it. The beer does have a little bit of crispness. There's some nice oaty qualities in the beer as well. There's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness for me too, a little bit of that McVitie's digestive sort of thing. But I would say overall this one has a really nice soft white bready kind of character to it. You've got some nice oaty notes to the beer as well, and just that little bit of biscuity sweetness. If you take the aroma in a little bit more deeply, you do get a little bit of the bitiness of the wheat coming out of the beer. But I've got a feeling with this one, I think this might be one of these ones that tricks you a little bit with the aroma. I think you might get a little bit more of the wheaty bite when you actually taste this beer, because the wheat comes across as quite smooth and subtle in this one, but like I say, when you take in the aroma deeply, you do get a little bit of bitiness to the wheat in my mind. So I really like how it goes together actually. The aroma out of this is just very, very nice actually. But yeah, it's a really, the malt base for me, it's quite straight shooting. It doesn't have anything that you don't expect. Like I say, smooth oats, nice little bit of soft white bready quality to it. There's one or two grainy elements that come out the more that you smell the beer. A little bit of a wheaty, bitey sort of thing. But yeah, I really like how that goes together in this one. So yeah, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the malty side of the aroma. I think it's something that's always kind of forgotten a little bit when it comes to these more hop forward styles of beer, but yeah, the fruity side of this one obviously is very nice too. So let's focus on the hops now then. So on the fruity side of things and the hoppy side of it, I'd say that overall you do get a little bit of earthiness out of this one. There is a good little bit of floral aromaticity, and that mixes in with the wheaty side of the beer, but you've also got some really nice juicy fruity characters to this beer as well, which I really, really like. You've got some how do you say, you do have some really nice orange. There's a lot of orange comes out of this one for me. You get the nice more oily orange note from the mosaic in this one, and I think that sort of forms the backbone of the beer almost, but you can smell that slightly more brighter. The orangey notes that you get out of the Sabro, I think, are slightly more juicy almost. So I think that the mosaic ones are a little bit more oily and tangerine, whereas the Sabro ones are a little bit more kind of just wetter and juicier almost. You do get that kind of coconutty element out of the Sabro for sure at the front of the nose. You can really get that, and I think that sort of makes the tropical notes from the Citra just feel even softer. I think the Sabro is the one that's really given the beer this very soft, juicy type vibe actually. Yeah, I would definitely say that about it. This whole coconutty underlying that Sabro can give you is very, very apparent in this beer. And this, like I said, as far as memory serves me, this is one of the first beers I've had from Sweden that uses Sabro. I know it's quite a popular hop in England, but yeah, the aroma out of this one is very, very interesting, I have to say. So yeah, take a bit of time and just enjoy that for yourself before you get stuck into it. I think this is a really quite quirky and quite interesting beer, if nothing else. So yeah, lovely bright oranges out of this one. The more oily mosaic note is just kind of sitting in there, the brighter kind of Sabro note. You do get a lovely soft kind of mango and papaya type note out of this beer as well. You might get a little hint of that slightly darker passion fruit from the Citra as well, but for me, lovely bright mango, kind of a papaya, apricot-y sort of thing. More papaya, I would say, rather than anything else. And you've got the coconut from the Sabro just sort of softening up that tropical side of the beer. So yeah, oranges, tangerines, mango, a little bit of apricot, then that kind of coconutty note from the Sabro as well. In terms of aroma, very, very nice beer, and the green side of the beer for me really does lean towards that softer, grassy side of the spectrum too. So yeah, I like how this one goes together, so it gets a thumbs up from me. I would recommend that you take a bit of time and just enjoy the aroma out of this beer. But let's have a taste of it then and see how we get on. So this one is simply called IPA. It comes in at 6.7% ABV, New England style IPA of course, as you can see from the haze, and this one comes to you from Fermenterarna in Strömstad on the northwest coast of Sweden, very close to the Norwegian border. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. That's a really nice, just easy drinking IPA. It's very well done, so I'm going to say straight away, thumbs up to Fermenterarna for this one. It's got a real, yeah, it really has a real drinkability about it. I mean, IPAs, it's quite a diverse sub-style. And I mean, I've been saying in videos recently, you know, I've been missing the West Coasters and having, you know, a bit of variety, you know, some black IPAs, some West Coasters along with these New England ones. But you know, even within the New England category, you've got so many different types. You can have the wheaty leaning ones, the big bitey ones, you can have the smooth oaty ones, and you can have ones like this that are just quite nice and light and drinkable. So I have to say, I like that about this. This one does strike me as being a little bit different from some of the other ones that I've had from Sweden recently, but it's really damn solid. And these days, with the amount of examples of this style that are out on the market, it's all you can really do is make them well crafted, and that's exactly what Fermenterarna have done here. This is a nice beer. It's a really nice, easy drinking New England for me. So well done to Fermenterarna for this. I think they've done a solid job here. And like I said earlier, you will notice that if you take a solid gulp of this, you do get a little bit more of the wheat showing its head in this one. But I think generally speaking, the kind of soft and more juicy sort of thing that I was talking about in the aroma is what really does stand out about this beer. This is a very easy drinking one for me, and that's why I like it. I think it really, the fruity profile that it has really suits that, actually. So where do we start with this one? Let's break it down and describe the flavour a little bit more. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you get that lovely soft white bready base to it. And the wheat and the oats just come out kind of on top of that. On the back third of your palate, you can feel the breadiness just thickening up a little bit. At the very back of the tongue, you can feel a little bit more of that wheaty bitiness just coming out of it, which is really quite nice. And the wheat starts to smoothen out as you move further forward on that back third of your palate. You can feel as you reach that border between the middle third of your tongue and the back third of your tongue, there's a really nice how do you say, there is a really nice kind of bitiness to the to that part of the beer as well. You can just feel there's a little bit of a kind of more grainy thing on the border between that there. But then as you go into the middle third of your palate, you can feel the thickness of the bread just drops down a little bit, and then you get that lovely smooth oaty character. You get a little bit of it's almost like a circle. You get a bit of a kind of circle of oaty notes just sitting on top of that, and it's really nice how that all goes together. So yeah, that lovely smooth oatiness that sits there on top of the you get that lovely smooth oatiness that just sits there on top of the bread in the middle third of your palate. You do start to get a wee bit of an almost biscuity kind of butter candy type flavour coming out of this one. There is just a wee tiny hint of a brown sugary note to this beer that sits there in the middle of the palate. You always get that with these beers. That's the kind of boozy, the alcohol kind of almost like being covered, if you like. But the way that the malt base goes together in this one, I find it quite unique, because it really does have a little bit of crispness to it. And I think on that border between the middle third of your palate and the back third of your palate, as I was saying, you do almost have a little bit of that Pilsner malt type mouthfeel out of it, which is really quite nice. So yeah, I do like how that goes together in this one. That the malty side of this beer complements the hoppy side of the beer very, very well, I think, and it makes it really nice and just easy to drink. In terms of the hoppy side then, back corners of the palate, you do get a little hint of earthiness out of this one. That's the mosaic that's going to give you that. And as you move further along the sides of the palate, you get some nice floral aromatic notes out of the beer. It does have a wee touch of spiciness to it, and all of these hops are higher alpha acid, so you will get that. But then round the very front curve of the tongue, the beer is just a little bit lighter and more grassy. So yeah, for me, the green side of the beer really has a bit more of a kind of floral and grassy type leaning, if you like. But yeah, it's really nicely done. On the front third of your palate then, that's where you get that nice juicy, that nice oily bubble, where those juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. And again, it's just very, very nice. Yeah, it's the Sabra. I mean, the thing you're going to notice is the coconutty. On that front third of your tongue, you get the breadiness kind of spreading forward there as well, but underneath the fruity side of the beer, you get that coconutty vibe from the Sabro, and that just makes all the other fruity notes in the beer appear, very, very soft. So if you go towards the back of that front third of your tongue, you do get a slightly stronger passion fruity note. That's the Citra that's going to give you that, but very quickly as you move forward, you get more mangoes, you get a little bit of a kind of apricot-y papaya type thing as well, and that's again the kind of softer, more complex elements of the Citra coming out. Then as you reach the front half of that front third of your tongue, there's a little bit of an oily mosaic type thing in this one, which is very, very nice. The, how do you say, yeah, you get that more oily tangerine note. You do get that kind of, how do you say, you do get that sort of, you do get just a little bit of a brighter orangey tangerine note from the Sabro as well. I find the Sabro's orangey quality is a little bit hard to describe, because for me it's the mosaic that sort of forms the backbone of the oranges in this one, but the Sabro just adds a little bit more brightness to the flavour almost, and it really adds that kind of coconutty sort of thing. It's almost a little bit pina colada like, to be honest with you. It's almost got a little bit of that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, this one, it strikes me as really interesting in that sense. So yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me on the fruity side of things. I really like how it all just kind of pieces together, to be honest with you. Yeah, the fruity side of this beer is just it's lovely, and it complements everything else that's going on. It's one of these beers, I think, where everything just fits together extremely well, and I can see why this was quite highly rated. I think it had a rating of about 4 on Untappd, which is quite good. I mean, it's you know, you see that it's the American beers that always tend to push into the 4.3s and all this kind of thing, but I think this beer, for me, is as good as some of the American ones that I've had, and I think a lot of the European beers in that sense are underrated by Untappd. This is why I always say take it with a pinch of salt. This is one of the most kind of solid, drinkable New England IPAs I've had from Sweden over the last little while, and for me, this is on par with the stuff that you're going to find from, you know, Apex, 10 Hands, OO and Steep Bears. I really like this one. It has just struck a chord with me. I like the orangey flavours in my IPAs. You guys watching the channel will know that, but I think Fermenterarna have pulled off a solid beer here. You know, that could be a really strong core beer for them. I don't know if that's the plan for it, but if they can make this beer on a bigger scale and they can keep up the consistency, which the quality of their beer so far indicates that is possible for them, this could be a really nice core beer for them, and the artwork's beautiful as well. You know, it's everything about this beer I think is very damn solid. So thumbs up to Fermenterarna. Maybe I'm trying to think back. This could be the best beer I've had from them so far. I would go as far as that. I mean, I'm impressed with this one. I will say that this one is just one of these ones where everything clicks, and it strikes a chord with me. Beer is subjective, as I say. You guys might disagree with that, but for me, everything just clicks with this one. So try this if you get the chance. I'm not sure how easy this one is to get a hold of. I can't remember how many cans they did of this, but this is damn solid for me. So have a go at it. And if this is your first beer from Fermenterarna, you're in for a treat with this. This is a solid introduction to this brewery. On the mouthfeel side of things then, you know, for me it's straight in the middle of the spectrum. Like I said, this beer, it has a very, and this is a common thing with the Nordic beers, it's got a lovely kind of, it's almost got a bit of slickness to it, but at the same time it feels very, very clean. I'd describe this beer as being mid-bodied, right in the middle of the spectrum, so quite clean, mid-bodied, carbonation is quite smooth. Again, it just comes across really nicely. The malt base for me, I think the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, it gets crisper and crisper. I think it does have a little bit of that, but the bready notes that you get in this are very soft, and the oats and the wheat add a really nice kind of softness and smoothness to the beer as well, which I really like. I keep getting these little mad fruit fly things, but yeah, to me, a very clean, slick, and very drinkable beer actually. So I like how that goes together. You get a very nice, the hoppy bitterness on this one I think is quite low. I think this is maybe about 30ish IBUs, you know, it's fairly standard for the style, but the malt base, very smooth, like I said, a little bit of sweetness out of it, but the fruits for me really juicy and wet actually. I really like how everything pieces together in this beer. So big thumbs up to Fermenterarna for me with this one. This could well be the best beer I've had from them so far. And it's one of these ones, you know, the artwork, I think, I'm getting philosophical now, and interpretational, but the artwork on this one, again, is fairly simple. And this beer, as I say, it's not one of these ones that wants that kind of seems overly shouty. Oh, look at me! It's something where everything is just quite subtle and it kind of just fits together. So yeah, I'm just going to say thumbs up to Fermenterarna with this one. This beer has impressed me, and I would recommend that you guys try it if you get the chance. So I think that's probably a good place to finish off this review. Very impressed with this one, so thumbs up to Fermenterarna. Do consider making this a core beer, because I think this is the most solid one I've had so far actually. It's very nice, it's very drinkable. It's one of these ones almost, like the other thing you could think of this, it's almost like Beer Bibliotheque's A Moment of Clarity. It's got that kind of drinkability and, you know, memorability to it. I think that's probably a good beer to compare this one to, although that's a session IPA. This is a 6.7% regular IPA. But yeah, well done to Fermenterarna on this one. I think they've pulled off a solid beer here. So do make sure this one is not a one-off. That would be an absolute waste in my mind. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the IPA from Fermenterarna. It's 6.7% New England IPA, and it's just very well done. I'm guessing with the name this probably is going to be a sort of fairly regular beer, and I think that's a very good thing. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Fermenterarna. We will return to these guys at some point soon, and this is one that I've seriously enjoyed, so that's probably why the review is a little bit longer. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Do make sure you check out Fermenterarna. Some really good IPAs and also some very nice fruity sour beers as well. Slàinte, skål, cheers.